Hello everyone, welcome back to the course on Chemical Reaction Engineering 1. Myself, Nidhi Mehta, Assistant Professor at Chemical Engineering Department, LJ Institute of Engineering and Technology. So let's just start our today's session. So now, let's just start discussing our topic, which is non-ideal flow. As you all already know that we are discussing this topic from last few sessions and we have covered the majority of portion which is related to this particular terminology. Correct? Now, today, before continuing with the new topic, I just want to give you a quick and a brief recap about what we have covered till today. Correct? So let's just start with the very first lecture which we have started with what is ideal flow. So basically an ideal flow is a flow which follows the ideal condition or a flow which follows either a plug flow pattern or a mixed flow pattern. Correct? We have also discussed that in actual practice, ideal flow pattern is not possible. So, why it is not possible? Because whenever we are dealing with ideal reactors or whenever we are dealing with converting our given raw material into desired product, the behavior pattern completely changes. This occurs due to number of reasons. We have discussed all those reasons, out of which the most important one are it might happen due to presence of short circuiting or there might be some channeling inside the reactor which may lead to non-ideal flow behavior, or it can also be due to presence of some kind of dead zone inside the reactor. Correct? So there are number of reasons which are responsible for converting our ideal pattern into non-ideal pattern, and that's why we are dealing with the topic of non-ideal flow, because we need to understand that in actual practice, whenever we are dealing with the actual reactor, how to control the flow pattern, how to tackle the flow rate of a reactant or a product and how to deal with them. Correct? So for that particular purpose only we are dealing with the topic of non-ideal flow. We have also understood what is RTD, which is residence time distribution. We have also considered various methods to determine RTD. Correct, there is a pulse input method and there is a step input method to determine RTD for any given reactor. Now, this was all about the basics and the method which we can adopt to determine RTD. In today's topic, we will start with the reactor and understand how RTD will behave in this particular case. Right? We will determine RTD of a batch reactor and a PFR, and we will also determine RTD of MFR in our next session. Correct? So in today's session, we will deal with RTD of PFR and batch reactor and some common important features about MFR or CSTR. Right? So let's just start with today's topic. Talking about RTD in a batch reactor and a PFR. So before starting with RTD, we must understand what is a batch reactor and what is a PFR. Correct? We have already studied batch reactor and PFR reactor in our CRE 1 or basic CRE course, but here I am going to repeat the topic just to make it more clear how it actually works. Correct? So basically what is a batch reactor? A batch reactor is a reactor in which we are feeding the reactant at a given time, and then we just close the reactor and allow it to get proper stirring and get the product converted. Alright, we just allow our reactant the desired amount of residence time so that it can be converted into desired product. Correct. In case of PFR, what happened? We just give continuous input from one side of the reactor and we collect the output from another side of the reactor continuously. So, batch reactor is basically a batch process, whereas PFR is a continuous process. But in both the cases, one thing is common, and that is in both the cases, escaping of reactant from the reactor before certain time period is not possible. Correct? That's why it makes the reactor more simpler for operation and more simpler for calculation purpose as well. As I have listed here, you can see that RTD in a plug flow reactor and in case of a batch reactor is the modest. Modest means simple. So, to determine RTD in case of either a batch reactor or a PFR is quite simple as compared to MFR. Why we are saying this? Just because all the atoms or molecules will spend the same time period inside the reactor. Because in case of batch reactor, we are just feeding all the reactant at the same given time, and after certain residence time, we will withdraw all the product at the same time. Correct? And in case of PFR also, there is one input and one output. Between input and output, there is no space for any kind of escaping. Correct. That's why in both the cases, batch and PFR, all the molecules and atoms will spend the same time period. Correct. Next is distribution function in all the cases of either batch reactor or PFR will be a finite spike. So you will see this in the graph plotted in the next slide. Why we are saying it like this? Just because all the molecules have spent the same time. So if you plot a cumulative distribution curve, it will be a straight line because all the molecules have spent the same time inside the reactor. So it will be a vertical straight line for the cumulative time which is spent by all the reactant inside the reactor. So residence time distribution is basically given by ET, which is residence time distribution equals to delta T minus tau. Delta is my delta factor over here, right? And T is the time, whereas tau is my space time. So you can see this is CSTR and this is PFR. In case of CSTR, there is no inlet and outlet which you can continuously use. We just need to feed all our reactant inside at a given time, and we just need to withdraw it after the desired time period. Correct? In case of PFR also, you can see those blue pipes. So the blue pipes are basically the PFR reactor, right? There will be one inlet and there will be one outlet at another end. So from that particular one inlet, you will just give the reactant inside the reactor. It will pass through the entire passage of reactor and then come out of the reactor from bottom of the reactor at the extreme end of the reactor. So there is no space in between the reactor length for reactant to get escaped. Correct? Now talking about direct delta function del, which we have used in our residence time distribution. So this you have already studied in your previous semester in AEM, that direct delta function del x is equals to plus infinity for all the values of x which is equals to 0. Correct? And direct delta function del x is equals to 0 for all the values of x which is not equals to 0. And we also know this particular formula from that previous sem only, that for integration of the value minus infinite to infinite, if we integrate direct delta function, that is del x into dx, it will be equal to 1. So we will simply utilize both this condition here in our derivation. Correct? Now I want to determine my residence time distribution for this particular entire reactor. So I will be using this formula, right? Minus integration to integrate, minus infinite to infinite, I will simply integrate it, gx del t minus tau dx equals to g tau. Why we have done t minus tau? Because we need to determine what is the basically time spent by a molecule inside the reactor. So you can see here in this particular graph that there is a straight spike, right? Tau is our space time. So you can see here that the time spent by each and every molecule is same, right? That's why it is a straight line at the value of tau. And what is tau? Tau is space time, volume and volumetric flow rate. If you remember, tau equals to V upon volumetric flow rate, volume upon volumetric flow rate, correct? So it is given by this particular formula. So from this graph it is quite clear that in case of batch reactor and PFR, the time spent by each and every molecule is same. Now coming to the next topic, which is how to calculate. So we will first calculate 0 to infinite t et into dt. Correct? So once you determine that, you will get the entire residence time formula for your reactor. For determining this, we will simply substitute the value of Et in this given formula of 0 to infinite t, Et and dt. So what is the value of Et in case of batch and PFR? We already seen in our first slide, it is Et in case of batch reactor and plug flow reactor is equivalent to delta T minus tau. So we will simply substitute this value of delta T minus tau in this particular integration formula. So it will be 0 to infinite T delta T minus tau dt equals to tau. So this is how you calculate entire RTD for the given reactor. Now calculating the value of variance. So what is variance? Variance is basically how you determine the difference in values, right? We just need to determine difference in values of time spent by different molecule inside the reactor. So if you calculate variance, variance is given by sigma square equals to again 0 to infinite T minus tau delta T minus tau into dt, which is coming to be 0. In case of batch reactor and PFR reactor, we already know that time spent by each and every molecule is same, correct? So when the time consumed or spent by each and every atoms or molecule inside the reactor is same, therefore the difference in time, variance, will be 0, right? At the end, I have put all the three formulas which is quite essential to know for this particular batch reactor study. Correct? So if we are dealing with derivation of RTD in either batch reactor or PFR reactor, we must know all these three formulas. That's why I have put them together in this particular slide. So we must know what is the value of variance in this case. So it is equals to sigma square equals to 0 to infinite T minus tau delta T minus tau dt, which is equals to 0, because all the molecule have spent the same time inside the reactor. So difference in time, that is variance, will be 0. Also ET, which is residence time distribution for RTD in case of batch and PFR, is given by delta T minus tau, which is direct delta function, right? Next is calculating residence time, which is 0 to infinite T delta T minus tau dt, which is equals to tau. So what we have done here is 0 to infinite T ET dt is the actual formula, and in that formula we have substituted the ET value in case of batch and PFR, which is delta T minus tau. Correct? So once you do this calculation, you will get the value as tau. So these are the three important formula from this particular derivation which we must understand and which we must know. Correct? Now coming to some basic requirement of CSTR. So in case of CSTR, the concentration of any substance in the outlet stream is considered to be identical throughout the reactor. So what we say whenever we are talking about either CSTR or MFR, which is either continuous stirred tank reactor or it is a mixed flow reactor, we always say that whatever concentration we are getting at the outlet stream is equivalent to the concentration inside the reactor at any given point. Correct? Next is, we will also consider a pulse injection of tracer, and in that condition we say that in case of ideal reactor, the concentration will be uniform throughout the reactor. Correct? And in that case, we will also consider that tracer will be uniformly distributed. Which tracer? The pulse input which is given inside the CSTR will be uniformly distributed. These are the four basic concepts about CSTR which must be understood before starting the RTD derivation for any CSTR reactor. So this is basically a CSTR. There will be an input from one end of the reactor and there will be an output from other end of the reactor. We just need to give injection at one time, which is a pulse injection method, and the stirrer will continuously rotate inside the reactor to give it a proper mix and uniform distribution throughout the reactor. Right? So this is all about how to determine RTD in batch reactor and PFR reactor and some basic concepts of CSTR, which is quite essential to know before moving ahead with CSTR derivation for RTD. Correct? Hope the topics are clear for today. Thank you.